Today is January 11th, 2024, and today marks the day that the New England Patriots have decided to part ways with their longtime coach, Bill Belichick, after 24 seasons and 6 Super Bowl wins. The reason for this is of no shock to a lot of you who follow the NFL. They've had 2 abysmal seasons, and it seems to be getting worse, with their records falling ever since the departure of Tom Brady. So today we're going to talk about was Bill Belichick doing a good job? Obviously, during those 6 Super Bowl wins, he was doing a good job, but as of the most recent years, has he changed? Has he done anything different? How can we define what a good job performance is for Bill Belichick? And tying that into business, how can we take a look at ourselves or our peers, employees, our bosses around us and say, are they doing a good job? So that's our discussion for today on the Talking of Business podcast. So I'm your host, Jordan Disberger, and joined by me, my father, Russell Disberger, a very, very seasoned and experienced business consultant.
I've got enough gray hair to prove it.
He is a silver fox. So, Dad, talking about this in general, and we'll play off of the Bill Belichick news that broke today here. And so one of the things that you and I, in developing this episode, we had talked about was the falling star mentality. So let's start with that. Go ahead and talk about what that is.
Well, so I'm going to back up a little bit further from that. We all have the ultimate boss, and that's the consumer. The consumer that buys our product or service or watches what we do. They demand certain elements and results. The individuals that are overseeing all of that typically are the owners of the businesses or the nonprofit or whatever. And their job is to provide a consistent deliverable product. Then you have the management team that you've put in place. And that management team, the number one thing is to build a bench, a strong supporting staff that can help them execute what's required to drive the financial results and the customer satisfaction. If the system changes, if the bench changes, sometimes it makes bosses look bad. And so when Tom Brady flipped or changed,
he's actually let go by Bill Belichick.
Okay, but when that happens, his bench changed.
Yeah.
And he did not find or put together an adequate element. So now, was he lucky finding someone, is great Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best or the best of all time? Or was it truly his profound leadership that he got laxed on? So when you're a superstar, a lot of times in a normal business or a normal situation, your bench changes. You have to be able to change dynamically with it. If not, it's going to show a lot of your deficiencies or lack of core competencies that you really need to have. And that's when your star begins to fall. And so sometimes individuals, and I'm in the process and I constantly am being asked to come into organizations, and I'm talking to falling stars. Some of them, the owners want to see if I can save this employee. Historically, they were Super Bowl champions in the company. Great, phenomenal. But they are walking around with that pride of what I did when I came here. They didn't do this. They didn't have that. These are all the things that are brought to the organization. And so with that, they feel that they're untouchable. Thus, they get lax. They're not putting in the time and the effort to move the organization forward. Every single employee should wake up every day and ask a question, which is really a tough question. How am I relevant to this organization? How can I help them achieve their goal? What can I do now and into the future to make a difference? My past is behind me. The future is what I make of it and the planning that I put into place now. If I fail to do that, no matter how good I was, your star could be falling, and you too could be having conversations about your employment status with your current organization. Is that sufficient?
Yeah, I know. I think that's a very good setup of the whole discussion, and also a good definition of a falling star. So let's put a more relatable role in here that we see in everyday life. So a fast food worker. So you might have a falling star in a
They
fast.
call it technically as a fast casual dining.
Okay, fast casual dining. Thank you for the correction there. I don't want to offend anyone. So that's a very relatable role. We've all seen it. We've all interacted with these employees, and there are rising and falling stars in even this industry and in this role. It may not be as prominent, as glamorous as being a paid multi-millions of dollars as an NFL coach, but it's something we can relate to. And also there's still elements that you can implement into your role there, or into any role, your current role, whatever you're doing for your profession, to make sure that you're correcting yourself and making sure, hey, am I doing a good job? And so I laid out 3 characteristics to ask yourself and to check yourself in your current role. So Dad, you said when you wake up every morning, you should say, hey, how am I relevant? How am I adding value to this business? So going a little bit deeper into that, the 3 characteristics that I laid out were quality, consistency, and efficiency. If you produce a quality product but take a really long time to do it, you're going to upset a lot of people. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. As a fast food worker, you're going to have that line for the drive-through backed up, several cars, and people are going to get very frustrated. And that's not a very good output. You're not really being relevant or adding value to your business. But you do want to have quality, but you also need efficiency.
Now I'm gonna try to change the word efficiency to effectiveness. We can be efficient doing the wrong things.
Correct.
So you need to be effective, which is doing the right things for the right amount of time. And that's probably a better term to refer to it as.
Yes. And so you don't want to do things as fast as possible if you're putting out a garbage product and you're handing out a like a garbage McChicken burger out the window. You're going to lose
Are
customers.
you saying McDonald's is garbage?
No. If you're just throwing it together, and it's
I
very
got it. You want to put
sloppy and
together.
falling out. So you also want consistency there. You want to have a consistent product that you're putting out. So comparing that to, let's say, Bill Belichick again, quality. Quality shows, hey, we have a winning record. We're a championship caliber team. Consistency, we're able to do that year over year over year, rebuilding that bench, as you said, Dad. And then efficiency. How long does it take to actually do that and achieve that? If you take a look, when Bill Belichick first came into the Patriots as a head coach, they had a not so great year. They only won 5 games, and this past year they actually only won 4, which is the worst record they ever had. But his efficiency, or effectiveness, as you changed my word, they actually, I think they won the Super Bowl that next year. Hold on, let me verify that.
No,
They
and
they did.
the interesting thing is that his model of growing talent even caused the Denver Broncos to hire away, and other NFL teams would hire away the supporting bench, the other coaches from Bill Belichick, to help or to run their teams. So Bill was seen as a guy that could not only build a bench from players and make them work, but also is supporting staff of the offense coach, the defensive coach, etc.
So identifying quality leadership that they're technically also on his bench and his support staff, and just building a whole organization here. So Bill Belichick regardless if you think it was all Tom Brady or not, which I disagree. I think there was a great partnership there and they worked together very well. And so going back to your rising star comment that you had, Dad, we see this in large businesses, small businesses, and you've seen it over time, is that as businesses grow, landscapes change, technology changes, the whole business environment, the ecosystem has changed, and people may not be the correct fit for that role anymore. We've seen that with large businesses that scale. CEOs will step down and other CEOs will take that place because that CEO, their characteristics, their attributes, their ability to scale the company is limited to a certain level, and then another individual can come in.
And
You
then, and
go ahead.
you nailed it. And this is it for small business owners, even mid-size to some of the largest. They hang on too long. As an owner, you may be great at taking small risks, but are you the right person to grow it to the next level? And or what are you doing to stay current and relevant by your learning, your training, your coaching? Who do you have surrounded by you that can help you discern the rightness of your direction? Same thing with a manager. You know, I may be a vice president of an organization, but if I don't keep up with the growth of the company, I might find myself as a frontline supervisor because I was stagnant and the company grew up around me. So this everything is evolving. So your point is just perfect, Jordan.
Absolutely. I'm glad I hit that, Dad. So let's take a look at the fast food worker. So this individual, it's an entry level role. How has that adapted and changed over time? Where someone who may have been doing it 20 years ago might have lost in that role. And so one of the items that I would point out is technology, and the way that we make products. So the implementation of technology, mobile orders, things like that may be a barrier to individuals who said, "Oh no, hey, I want to do that the old school way. Oh no, I don't want to adopt those changes." And so even in roles as entry level, as being a I forget the term that you use for fast food
Oh,
workers,
it's fast casual dining.
fast casual dining, if you are resistant to change and adoption uh, of technology or industry changes that are going to benefit your business or organization, you're going to limit yourself from growing in that organization or even being a part of it. And
So
so, go ahead, Dad.
I'm going to segue just real quick. When you're paid, so there's some states that have increased the minimum wage to more than twice the federal level. So let's just pick out a dollar figure of $15 for a fast casual dining frontline employee that's flipping a burger. A few years ago, maybe $7 or $7.50 was sufficient. Now the owner of that establishment is paying you twice the amount of product that you have to produce to generate the profit to make the risk that that owner is taken on to be worth it has to either go up. If you can't keep up, then they bring in technology or look for ways or systems to optimize the entire environment. When people cannot keep up with the return on investment required through their effectiveness, producing consistent quality products like you talked about, automation and technology gets invited in. And this is where it's great for our government to want to raise rates and have a minimum, livable wage. But when we force that faster on certain jobs, it actually invites in the technology, which replaces the worker, which then further causes the growth of that employee to need to be better. So if you're in an environment where the technology is being invited in, if you're not really ambitious and wanting to grow and improve your skills, you're going to be left behind. And the types of jobs you're going to be doing is actually going to be lower and lower on the totem pole as in pay. And there's going to be an abundance of people wanting those jobs. And so supply and demand, that's in part one of the reasons why people get paid lower wages. So if you want to make more, be relevant, you got to really stay current. When you're done with school, you're not done with school. Life should be a continuous learning process so that you can keep up or surpass or at least your competition, which is your fellow colleagues.
I think that's a great summary of all the points that we've made in the podcast today. So I want to conclude it with a final question, Dad. Was Bill doing a good job? I think for years he was. I think the last 3 years, I mean, obviously we were fallen. My final question is, do you think if he takes another head coaching job, do you think he would find success on another team?
I think you said it first, and I think I opened it. A business is a system, and a mark of a good leader is the ability to find the team that can produce results. When the team changes, the question is can he put together a team fast enough to do it? Clearly, he knows what a good team is. He has seen it work. He has the wisdom and the experience to do it. Question is, does he have the internal drive to put in the continued effort that's required to build another Super Bowl-like champ? So I think he can, but I think it's more of a personal decision he's got to make.
I agree with that, and I think he'll have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, kind of like Tom Brady did when he had his exit. And I've heard there's a lot of speculation of him going to the Atlanta Falcons. They have a lot of strong young talent. I think that's a possible landing spot there. Will he find success? I think if he watches this podcast and takes our advice and isn't living off of his past successes, that he has the leadership ability to build that organization and surround himself with the proper individuals. I think in the league today, quarterback is huge, so they get that role in there, and Bill Belichick, I think I think they can be effective.
So good luck to everybody and do the right next thing and be relevant today.
That's right. Wake up and figure out how you can be relevant today. Well, thank you guys for listening to Talking of Business. Subscribe to us on whatever you listen to podcasts on, or if you're watching us on YouTube, it does a whole lot for our show if you subscribe to us. Leave a comment if you have a question for us, and follow us on our social media channels. We'll catch you guys next time.